Yo, what's up guys? Seiishizo here, talking about Reloaded update. So Reloaded update is the major update that's coming to Summoners War, which is actually the first major update in quite a long time. I was actually checking, and over here I found like the Swift update, which I think was the big update prior to, well, actually pretty much the last really big update we had, which was 22nd of August. And this was the update where we had like the dimensional hole predator, where we had like artifacts coming in. We had like a lot of different stuff coming in. It's not really readable because it's mainly for mobile, but yeah, so we had like the artifact dungeons, B12 coming in there. There's a lot of extra stuff going into the game. And since then, we didn't really have like a big update last year or anything like that. When we had the big updates, it was just something small or something, I don't know, 2v2 that they never really pushed through. Guild content that was never really like developed that well or something like that. So we didn't really have big updates except for like a lot of good quality of life stuff. Like the quality of life stuff was pretty on point. Still a bunch of that we'd like to see, but yeah, big update. Very curious to see. So as of currently, I don't know anything more than you guys know. So I asked the community, what do you guys think will come with this update? And I actually put it towards some sheets. Felt like back in school, putting sheets together and that kind of stuff. But let's talk about those things that I think and the community thinks are the predictions of what we will see in this patch. So first of all, someone that actually mentioned is that the reloaded font of the text looks pretty similar to the text of Chronicles. And to a certain degree, yes, to a certain degree, not really, but with that, would they also say, okay, do we take over some kind of quality of life things or certain things from Chronicles towards Summoners War? Could be an interesting take. So I put this together in two different sections: new stuff and rework stuff. So a lot of people think like, okay, we're not necessarily going to add more stuff because there's already a lot to farm. You cannot really add another dungeon, let's say Artifacts 2.0, but it's not the same as Artifacts. So you also have to farm that. So you have like another slot that you get somewhere else from, and you have to farm that. We don't really expect that for most people because we already have to farm quite a lot with like dungeons, R5s, artifacts, and also other stuff for like leveling, fusing, and that kind of stuff. So I don't really think there's too much new stuff in that kind of sense. I would rather think that's more of a rework stuff. Same as that we have seen, for example, with guild content. They pull away some guild content, they make it easier, they make it kind of audible, and then they add something new. I think they would do something along the lines of that, but it's always a tricky part because there's always some people that are liking that content that you're kind of taking away. So it's a fine line. Like some of this war is very difficult for a game that's like there for so many years already. Can you really add new stuff to it without people saying like, oh, now I also have to do this? Or remove something and then it's like, yeah, but I actually like to do that. So it's very hard to say, like, because a lot of people feel like they already have a lot of chores to do, as they call it, I guess. And with that reason, it's very hard to add extra stuff. But let's look into it, what we think, or the community thinks, and also I think for what we would have. So first of all, new dungeons. And I think I should make this a little bit smaller so it's more readable for you guys. Doesn't matter. New dungeons. Some people were thinking about like, okay, maybe there will be a new dungeon in the style of the AC Collab dungeon. That is also something that's called Galagos in Summoners War Chronicles, where you have like a dungeon, you walk through a certain path. Every path at the end, you take like a certain card. That card makes your unit stronger in a certain way. The AC dungeon was very simple, very much audible. You had to do it once a week. You could add something like, for example, Galagos in Chronicles. It used to be bi-weekly. It's going to switch to monthly. And from that, it's just some extra content that you do once a month, get some decent rewards. Another thing that a lot of people expect is PC 12 and SF 12. I think that's very likely to happen. And that would mean currently blue artifacts can drop and then it would be just hero and up, I guess. Would these dungeons necessarily be very difficult? I don't really think so because in all honesty, SF, you would still use the dot team PC. You maybe need a slightly different team because your Julie cannot one-shot and that kind of stuff. But I think both of the two dungeons won't be that much harder. In all honesty, I really hope that if these dungeons get added, that for example SF10 you cannot kill it with dots, or PC10 both of them maybe you cannot kill it with dots, so people actually have to slightly struggle to kill it, and then just throw the exact same team to it that they already use for B10s and then get it easier. Then we also have the option of GB, DB, and MB13, which is also another option to add like another layer of more difficulties. I really hope that if they add these kind of teams, they really look at something like maybe, for example, saying like, okay, you cannot use duplicates of units. So you cannot just go like your full-on Vert Ricaru into it. Maybe also make it like a dimensional hole energy where you can farm this maybe like an X amount of time per week. And then you have to farm like the normal dungeons again. Something like that would be pretty cool. And then R6 not dropping mana. Let's call it that way. Just stop dropping mana. Like also remove the blues, but stop dropping mana. But that's something for new dungeons. It's also kind of reworked. Like the first part is new, the other parts are reworked. But that is something that might come. So let's look at the next one. New runes. So people were saying like 6 rune slots, so that would be, for example, your fire runes. If you have 6 of them, they have a higher chance of fire runing or fire proccing. Honestly, I don't really think so. I've seen other games do it, like for example, Calibria Crystal Guardian, if I'm not mistaken. They had like the 6 sets where if you had a 4 set, it did a certain thing. If you had a 6 set, it did that, but a little bit better. I don't really expect that to happen. New rune types, to be honest, I don't really expect to have any new rune types. And the main reason for that is you would have to introduce another dungeon to add in extra rune types. Plus, it will be a heavy whaling fest if those runes are actually like hella OP. If those runes are OP, everyone's just going to buy next level rune packs, and people that are free to play are going to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy that shit, and it's expensive as fuck. And that is annoying. So in honesty, I don't really expect new runes because the game has been there so long. It's maybe if you can like switch over current runes that you have to the new type or something like that. I don't know, but adding new runes to something that's existing for this long, I would say is difficult. Well, new 2As. Well, we still have one 2A thing that is still that has to be opened. We also are still missing a few of the 2As. Jubago actually made a video about it a while back of saying like, okay, if you fight these units in one of the dungeons, you get them as 2A, which is very reasonable. We've seen the pattern before. Therefore, we're still missing a few units in one of the earlier dungeons, if I'm not mistaken. Don't add me exactly on which ones those were. And then we also have the new one, which can, of course, be all kinds of new 2As. I do know that they were thinking about a bunch of units. They actually mentioned it in Dev Talk before. But like a new 2A, I think it's too simple. It's something they just add in with like a new update at some point, sometime, anywhere. They're kind of slow in it. But I don't think it's like the full reload, a major update kind of thing. So I'm not really expecting a 2A, to be honest. Bunch of quality of life things that people think. So let's start off with the first one. I wrote them down like I write my own notes, so it might not be making that much sense for you guys. But first one, grinds +1 on every try. So for example, the first time you do a legendary grind on speed, it is a 4. Second time you do it, because it's already a 4, it becomes a 5. Stuff like that would be very nice. Not entirely sure if it will come. I don't actually think so, but that is definitely something I would like to see. PD summons, we definitely have that in Chronicles. Like a lot of these things are actually somewhat from Chronicles, but PD summons, yeah, it would be nice that in Chronicles, for example, if you do 70 summons on mystical scrolls, you get a legendary scroll, that kind of stuff. And then if you do 35 legendary scrolls, you get a transcendent scroll. So you have like a pity system based on that. Would be nice, would definitely be nice, but they would have to make it in a certain way that all of the scrolls prior obtained to the update will not count for that, because otherwise people that have been saving like a million fucking scrolls get like a pretty big head start, which Countess, from what I've seen also from Chronicles, doesn't really like if people save like whatever stuff for too long and then get like a super big head start on that. So pity systems, I would like to see it, but in all honesty, I don't really think we will get it, because if we wanted to, like, they know how it works. They know it exists. Like, they put it in every other game, but they're very hesitant to put it in Summoner's War, and probably for decent reasons. And decent reasons being like, okay, people that would have summoned in the past would feel bad about it, something like that. Or the moment you get an LD Transcendence, which is possible in Chronicles, which takes a long time, but you pull a unit, you get a shitty unit, and therefore you're like, okay, I'm never gonna get this pity again, because it takes like, I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever. So they're gonna quit based on that factor because they pulled a Debay or a Dorothy or name any other shit LD5 that you probably own and feel bad about right now. So okay, Restore Stones. Restore Stones is definitely something I actually kind of do expect to be put in the game. What is a Restore Stone? Restore Stone in Chronicles is simply you get all of the resources back that you put in a certain unit. In Chronicles, we get quite a bunch of those Restore Stones. At the moment, we get, if I'm not mistaken, like upwards of like 4 or 5 free-to-play Restore Stones per month. If we would get one per month in Sky Arena, you can say like, okay, I put like all kinds of Devilmons in Kumar, never use Kumar again because he's currently out of meta or he's nerfed or he's whatever. Restore Stone, you get all of those Devilmons, all of those Rainbow Mons, everything back. I think this is a very valid thing that should be in the game, especially with how many units are in the game right now. They're faster on balance patches, so it's definitely something that should be useful in there. Faster D-hole energy recharge, they could do it. I don't really expect it in all honesty. Then we have the buy the item of the rune you want to farm weekly. So that is the thing with the event that you can say for 2 hours or for 1 hour. It's 1 hour, I think. For 1 hour, I can farm giants, but I only want despair runes. Or I farm dragons and I only want fire runes. Maybe that item that you can buy it somewhere or get it from a TOA. Something small quality of life. Another really big thing, 4-star Devilmons. 4-star Devilmons, we do need them 4-star Devilmons. I really do not understand why we do not have 4-star Devilmons yet. Because this game is, everything they do to make the game easier is for newer players to still get into the game. Like, it's relatively easy to keep the people that are still playing. Like, sure, you see some people dropping out here and there, but it's relatively easy for an old game to keep the people that are still playing. It is very hard, however, for games that are this old to get new players. 4-star Devilmons is definitely one of those things that new players need. So let's see if we get those. But that would be a small thing as well. And then skip tickets for TOA and TOA normal, TOA hard. Well, TOA has been that easy right now. I don't really think we need the skip tickets. Would be nice, however, if they just say, like in Chronicles, you can say level 1 start, and then you come back after like 2-3 hours and it's like, oh, I'm done. And then it cleared all of TOA instead of like increments of 10. So they might add that at some point as well. Then something that actually quite a bunch of people mentioned, and that's more customizable profile / main character. In Chronicles, of course, you have the main character, you can put outfits in it, all that kind of stuff. In here, what is, like, in the end, everyone has this layout if they want to put these many units. You have your Elia outfit, whatever, but you never have, like, okay, this is my summoner. Like, I am the summoner, but it doesn't represent within the game. You technically don't have a representation of you in the game. In most games, like any MMO, whatever, you have a representation of you in the game that you can customize to a certain level. That is definitely something that I was thinking about. I was like, oh, that actually makes sense to put in the game, because the more customizable you have that you feel like, okay, this is me in the game, the more ownership you feel like over your account and that kind of stuff. And it makes a better connection with the game as well. So it's actually a very psychological, logical thing to do. Like, hey, more customizable feels like more like me. Sure, you can do the island and that kind of stuff, but also just for the profile or like a summoner or anything like that. And Reloaded actually does kind of feel on that same part that it could be something like that. So that's actually pretty interesting. Also something, blockchain. They have been mentioning the C2X token like a while back and that kind of stuff. This is actually a picture from like a talk from Q, which is one of the main guys, if not the main guy from the NA office, if I'm not mistaken. And he was talking about the blockchain, come to us and that kind of stuff. There's a whole post to it. I can link it in the description down below if you're interested about it. But from what I read in there, they are trying to get the blockchain and all of that crypto, in my opinion, nonsense, but crypto stuff in the game. And yeah, what they actually mentioned is they try to put it towards their smaller games first. Like they have like a baseball game and like maybe the fishing game. Fishing game is actually not that small as well, but like the smaller games first, where it makes more sense to do like a lot of trading kind of stuff. And all about like crypto is about trading and that kind of thing. So it would take a while to add into Sky Arena for sure. Like it would be, I would say it's more likely to be in any other game from Come to Us than Sky Arena at first, because Sky Arena is definitely something they don't want to mess up, and this is something they're experimenting with. They call it the future, they blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. But is it already there on that level that people also accept it, like play it to earn kind of stuff? Like, to be honest, anything that I see is like play to earn is kind of attracting people that are just like, ooh, I'm gonna make money with gaming. It's like, not really, get a job. Well, you could say the same about me, but whatever. Another thing that a lot of people did mention, and I think it was also mentioned in the dev talk in Korea at SWC Korea 2022 of last year, rebuilding graphics. And some of these graphics, sure, we get new skins, and therefore the new skins make it look good. But you still, and we get like some new arena and that kind of stuff. But in the end, the giant still looks the same. The dragon still looks the same, like the Kairos dungeon. We have a bunch of those really old like things. Like, sure, they have skins that make them look new, but we have a lot of like old graphics in the game. So rebuilding the graphics is definitely something that could be in this as well. So then talking about reworking current content, which I think will happen a lot more rather than actually adding a lot new content. World boss. Will they rework world boss? In all honesty, I think no. Main reason for that is they could have done it like a million years ago. Plus, let's say they make the world boss change from elements and that kind of stuff. That's the easiest rework that a lot of people are thinking about. So let's say it becomes like wind or dark or whatever. A lot of people that are like, everyone is going to say like, oh, they should have done this a long time ago, and then don't care. But the people that bought 40,000 Sigmaruses, they are going to be like, fuck my life. So with that update of switching the elements, you only have people that are like, told you so, and then move on, and people that would say, shit, I don't like it. So there's no one going to be happy about this world boss rotating. So I don't really think that would be a thing. They could, however, make the world boss in a completely different way. In Chronicles, while it's an MMO, it's a lot easier. You actually do damage to the world boss. It actually, you interact with the world boss, you kill it, you have to dodge skills, blah, blah. There's actually interaction with killing the world boss. You actually have to do damage to it, and it's not like just based on your runes and your artifacts, some kind of algorithm that gives you a number back, and that's how much damage you did, because your full supports did damage. I don't know, that doesn't, like, this whole world boss doesn't make any sense. Also, the world boss just always dies in 5 hours. Or no, wait, 5 days, 15 hours, and some minutes, whatever. Don't add me exactly on the time, but it's something like 5 days and a little bit. We never were able to kill this world boss faster because it's just on a timer. So that's kind of the stupid thing on this world boss. So we work on that, could we? So this is a rework on the Rift Beast and the Homunculi, which could definitely be a thing. I'm not really sure how you want to rework to it. Like, those units, sure, like the left one is very commonly used for PvE stuff. The right one is used for like TOA kind of PvE stuff. They're kind of good units. I think they're kind of fine in the state they are. But Rift Beast in general is kind of boring-ish. Like, it doesn't really... People don't really farm it all too much except for like daily things. Maybe if they want to farm fight runes, but could use a rework. Labyrinth is also content that I think a lot of people more see as a chore rather than as anything useful. However, Labyrinth does give very good rewards for good grinds. So I got a lot of like specific legendary grinds and gems from it that are very useful. So for that reason, I still definitely do the content. Is it that much fun of content? Not really that much. So rework on that? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Normal Arena. So Normal Arena is actually, from all of the content that I just talked about, except World Boss, pretty much the longest content that never got any changes to it. Well, I think Labyrinth also never really got any changes to it. But yeah, they added leaks at some point, and the leaks in Normal Arena are just pretty much like, oh, you get another like 100, 250 or 200 extra, what's it called? Like those tokens or whatnot. Yeah, Normal Arena can definitely use a bunch of changes. For example, make it randomized, that you have to hit your list, that you cannot see who you're hitting, blah, blah, blah. There's so many things that you can do. Or even just change the whole system, I don't know. But Arena is really the longest lasting content that hasn't been reworked like since ever. 2v2s, a lot of people are talking about 2v2s. Add them in, make them leagues, make them like seasonal things, make them whatever. I guess they could. I'm not really sure if they're pushing too much towards 2v2s. Personally, 2v2s, I like the concept, I like the idea. I just don't like the drafting phase. The drafting phase, because you're picking that many more units, everyone is taking 30 seconds for everything, it takes fucking forever. That's my only thing I have against 2v2s. Besides that, I kind of like the idea of 2v2s, but yeah, with that, the pick and ban, it just takes forever. So personally, for me, make that 15 seconds, because you can think like in the time of the other people thinking, you can use that time to think as well, unless they're playing freaking blitz jazz. But yeah, most of the time it just takes too long. That's why I don't really like it. Artifact rework. That's definitely something that was also mentioned in the dev talk in Korea that I mentioned before. That was at SWC 2022. They said that artifacts to a certain extent were too strong. Like, well, not this artifact, that's for sure. But the additional damage were too strong, because the additional damage were 100% defense ignoring kind of stuff. Armor breaks don't matter anymore. Multi-hits became very strong. Could they remove it in the current state of the game? Well, I guess a lot of units would fall out of meta, like quite a bunch more. I'm curious to see if they would do another rework to artifacts. They already did one rework to artifacts where they actually removed a bunch of these lines, like the damage dealt by reflect and the crushing hit. They removed those lines. There's a whole bunch more useless lines that are in there, so I'm kind of curious to see if they're actually... They were talking about it doing it, but it's already been... The talk was there in last November. And that was already on the stage. They were like, yeah, we want to change something, we just don't know what. So, okay. Let's see what they do with that, but I kind of expect like something along the lines of artifact changes. Another one that actually popped up just now is that they changed the date of the siege, which that's pretty curious. So the siege thing is actually, so we have the whole presentation of all of this on the 4th or the 24th of June. It might be that we get this update already around the 30th, because they're actually pushing back the siege last round to a Wednesday rather than a Thursday. So it's going to be Wednesday, Thursday for siege rather than Thursday, Friday. So could it be odds that we get this update already on the 30th? I don't know, but it would make somewhat sense to push back this siege stuff to have that. It would also be pretty interesting, because this is the last siege of the tournament, if I'm not mistaken. No, wait, this is the last siege before the tournament. So, with the tournament, we would have everything reworked and shit. That would be kind of fun. So, yeah, that's pretty much all that I have that is coming towards the update, what people think are going towards the update, what I think might go towards the update. Let me know in the comments what you guys think that would come to the update. Definitely that. So, hope you enjoyed this video. And definitely check out the stream on the 24th. It's going to be European time, 6 in the morning. It's going to be early. I'm definitely going to be there. Maybe like fewer partying, something like that. I'm not really sure what, where, how, or when. But definitely check that out. Or otherwise, like on the 24th, reads the patch notes somewhere on Reddit or my YouTube videos or anywhere. But this is big. Like, I'm pretty hyped. Like, this is really one of those things that could really make it or break it. What will it be? See you guys.